As soon as Vedant said that someone has come under his car, Priya woke up. As soon as she got out of the car, a man was sitting outside holding his leg. Priya got scared and said to that man, "Uncle, what happened? Are you all right?" Vedant looked at him and said, "Can't you see? His leg is broken." That man said with a shudder, "Oh, I think I will become handicapped. What will happen to my wife and children? Who will arrange for my daily bread? It all happened because of you both." Priya said, "Look uncle, we will take you to the hospital. But don't say that the accident happened because of us. Who told you to come in front of our car?" Vedant looked at him and said, "You shut your mouth." Priya said to him, "Am I right?" That man said, "I was walking on the side of the road. Your car came and hit me." After listening to him, Priya started looking at Vedant with a sad face. Vedant looked at him and shook his head. He gave support to that man and sat in the car. He came and sat on the driving seat. Priya was still standing outside. Vedant looked at her and honked the car horn. Priya came and sat in the car. They reached the hospital. They admitted that man in the hospital. After some tests, the doctor said that he had a fracture in his leg. Vedant paid all his bills and informed his family. Priya was feeling very bad that someone was injured because of her. She could not even look at Vedant. Vedant held her hand and brought her back to the car. Priya was still bowing her head, as if she was waiting for her punishment. Vedant was looking at her with both his hands tied. Priya looked at Vedant with her head up. But when her eyes met Vedant's angry eyes, she quickly lowered her eyes. Then she held her ears and said, "Sorry, I just wanted to stop the car. But by mistake there was an accident." Vedant took a deep breath and said, "Now quietly sit in the car." Then Priya asked, "Where are we going?" Vedant gave her a cold look and said, "I told you to sit in the car. Means sit." Now without a single word, he said this and went to his seat. Priya also quickly sat in the car. She still did not have the courage to say anything to Vedant. Then she said with a little courage, "Now you leave me at home." Anyway, now there was no time to go to college. But Vedant did not answer any of his questions and moved the car ahead. When Priya saw the way through the window, she thought, "Now which way is this? This does not look like the way to my house." Vedant said while driving the car, "Because we are not going to your house." Priya asked, "Then where are you taking me?" Vedant said with a devil's smile, "You should be punished for this." Priya said, "Look, I said sorry. I do not want your sorry, I want something else." Vedant told her to annoy him. Priya looked at him with confusion and said, "Something else? What?" Vedant looked at him from top to bottom with strange eyes. Priya understood his eyes and said, You are a goon. If you do anything wrong with me, then I will kill you. Did you hear?" By then the car reached a farmhouse. Priya's eyes widened when she saw outside. She said, "Why has he brought me here? His intentions do not seem right." Priya, run away quickly. Before Vedant reached Priya's side, Priya opened the door quickly and ran outside. But Vedant caught him immediately and picked him up on his shoulder. Priya said to him, "Leave me. Where have you brought me? Mom, save me." But Vedant did not care what he said. He picked him up and brought him inside a room and threw him on the bed. Priya looked at Vedant and said, "Look, I am telling you, even if you touch me, I will kill you." Vedant took off his coat and said, "Really? Then let me see how you kill me. Earlier, I was just giving you a lift to drop you to college. But no, you always have to create trouble." Priya threw a pillow at him and said, "Yes, so I did not ask you for a lift." Vedant opened the button of his shirt and said, "It is difficult to take a lift from me, but there is no problem in sitting on a stranger's bike and going." Saying this, he pulled Priya's legs and turned her towards him and came on top of him. Priya put her hand on his chest and pushed him and said, "Look, don't do this. I am not that kind of girl." Vedant held his hand and put it on his head and held his cheek with one hand and put his face in front of him and said with a devilish smile, "So let's start." Something like this. Saying this, he started bowing on his lips. Priya was trying her best to move her face here and there, but Vedant's grip was very strong on him. Vedant was very close to his face and there was only a distance of 1 inch between their lips. Priya was scared and closed her eyes tightly. She could feel the warm breath of Vedant on her face. Her whole face was red with shame, which Vedant was finding very beautiful at that time. Being so close to Priya, Vedant was not able to control himself. Then he put his lips on his lips. Priya wanted to say something, but her voice remained suppressed in his mouth. He bit Vedant's lower lip with anger, which Vedant stopped for a while, but it did not go away from him. He started kissing her again. Priya was thinking to herself, "Oh God, whose face did I see in the morning, that Meera Pala fell in love with this psycho?" Then she remembered that she had seen her own face first, while trying to take a selfie on the phone. She was having a lot of pain on her lips. Now she was having a lot of trouble breathing. She was not able to move at all. After that, she left Priya's lips and saw Priya breathing deeply. Priya's lips were completely red, and there was a slight cut due to the bite in her lips. Vedant cleaned the blood on her lips with his thumb. Priya's condition was getting worse. She had thought that she was going to die today. She pushed Vedant from above and started breathing normally. Meanwhile, she was staring at Vedant angrily. Vedant lay on the bed next to Priya. He put one hand under his head and started looking at her with a mischievous smile. Seeing her smile, Priya's blood pressure started rising. He picked up the pillow from the bed and said to Vedant, "You psycho. Did you intend to kill me? What if I had died? What is my age now?" Vedant pulled Priya up while laughing. He waved his hand in her hair and said, "Does kissing kill anyone? And anyway, I won't let you die. You have to bear with me for the rest of your life." Priya tried to get up from the bed, but Vedant grabbed her by the waist. Priya said angrily, "Why should I bear with you for the rest of my life?" Vedant turned her around and put her down. Then he kissed her on the neck and said, "Because you will be my future wife." Priya said angrily, "You said to someone that I will marry you? That will never happen. I would rather die than marry you." Vedant heard Priya's words and said to her, "You will marry me." Then he said to her, "You are still young, but when you are 21, I will ask your parents for your hand in marriage." Priya looked at him and said, "And what about my wish? What if I don't want to marry you?" Vedant looked at her and said, "Sorry baby, you don't have any other option. Get ready yourself." Saying this, he looked at her passionately. Priya was scared of Vedant now, but he didn't let his fear show on his face and said with a little courage, "Look, you can't force me like this. If you try to forcefully marry me, then I will file a case against you. I will go to the Supreme Court, but I will not marry you. Got it?" Saying this, he pushed Vedant and got up from the bed. It was not that when Priya was near, Vedant's mind was restless. Priya also started becoming uncomfortable when Vedant was so close to her. Her heartbeats would suddenly increase. Vedant's touch would create a headache in her entire body. Then Priya got up like Vedant. That's when she felt warm breaths on her neck. Vedant held her waist and hugged her from behind. And whispered in her ear, "Darling, you can do whatever you want, but you will marry me. Because I will not let anyone else come into your life. And if I find out at all that someone else is trying to come near you or you are trying to go near someone else, then you know what I will do." Saying this, he bit Priya's earlobe. Because of which Priya screamed. But more than that, Vedant's warning was bothering her. Vedant held her by the shoulder and said in front of him, "Shall we go home now?" Priya quickly nodded her head in agreement. Vedant also held her hand and left the room. In the college, Mahi went to the library to get some books for herself. She was busy looking for her books. That's when the books in her hand fell down. She bent down to pick them up. That's when a boy also started picking up the books. And then caught Mahi. Mahi smiled, thanked him and moved on. That's when the boy called her from behind. Listen. Mahi heard his voice and looked at him with curious eyes. The boy extended his hand and said, "Hello, I am Ankit. What is your name?" Mahi didn't want to talk much to him. But she didn't want to get angry either. That's why she answered quickly. "My name is Mahi. It's time for my class. I have to go now." Saying this, Mahi quickly left. Ankit kept looking at her until Mahi disappeared from his sight. He smiled and waved his hand in his hair and came out of his lips. Mahi. Nice name. Mahi's college was about to end. That's when Ranvir got a message that he was coming to pick her up. Mahi and Ruhi stood near the main gate and started waiting for Ranvir. Only 5 minutes had passed while waiting for them. That's when Ranvir's car came in front of them. Who is this Ankit? And what are his intentions? Is he going to create a big problem for Mahi? To know more, keep listening to Oh Baby only on Love Pulse Diaries.